mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch it so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episodes 1 and 2, because I'm assuming there's not going to be multiple seasons of this one. Episodes 1 and 2 of Hulu's The Patient. The Patient is a new show that just dropped on Hulu today. Today is Tuesday, August 30th. I had to look at the date. It just dropped today. It stars Steve Carell, who you all know from 40-Year-Old Virgin and many other comedies, and Donald Gleason, who I went out of my way to find out how to pronounce his name. It's spelled, I believe, Domhnall. I found a video of him talking about how to pronounce his name, and he said it's like tonal, but with a D. And he says that the M in his name is there to just confuse Americans. So if you're trying to figure out how to say his name, take out the M, and you got Dohnall. Donald. There you go. So Donald Gleason. It's like Donald, but not. So Steve Carell and Donald Gleason are two actors who I absolutely love, particularly Donald Gleason, because everything that he's been in, I thought he's been great. It's written and created by, I got the names here, Joel Fields and Joe Weisberg. They are the brilliant minds behind FX's The Americans, so you know you've got some people who know what they're doing and are going to give you some good content. So Steve Carell plays a shrink. His name's Alan Strauss. He has one of the aspects of the show that I think is going to be interesting, and I do intend on covering this show for the remainder of the season. One of the things I think is going to make this show interesting is the show these first two episodes kind of pepper in a little bit of backstory for Alan's character. I'm sorry, Steve Carell's character, Alan. And we see, I'm not going to give it away, but we see that he's been through a lot, and he's been through a lot recently. So I'm wondering how his own personal trauma is going to be brought into this situation, this very unique situation that I'm going to talk about in a moment. He's visited by Donald's character, whose name, I think his name was like Gene at the beginning. It was something with a G, but his name actually ends up being Sam. It was Gene, Glenn, something like that. But his actual name ends up being Sam. And he comes into Strauss's office and is essentially like, hey, I'm like really fucked up. Like my dad beat me a lot and I just need somebody to talk to. And he's got glasses on, he's got a hat on, clearly disguised. And an amount of time goes by that's fairly significant. We don't know how long, but I think at some point, Steve Carell's character suggests it's been about 4 months or so. And he's kind of just like, look, we're not getting anywhere. You ain't telling me shit. I don't know how we move past where we're at right now because we've kind of wasted a lot of time. And essentially the premise of the show revolves around what happens next, which is that Sam kidnaps Dr. Strauss, chains him up, not chains him up, but he chains him to like a locked kind of like compartment in the floor of his basement. And there's like a bed down there, toothbrushes, toothpaste, somewhere he can pee, all this kind of stuff. He brings them food, and he brings them down there, and his argument is essentially, you said that we weren't working out in your office. I'm a lot more comfortable talking about my fucked up life and situation here, so I brought you here against your will. I know it scares you, but I brought you here against your will because I really need you to help me. And he reveals that he is a serial killer who is struggling with killing again. He doesn't want to, but he's compelled to. He has somebody in mind who he feels really needs a killing, and he wants Dr. Strauss to fix him and make him somebody who make it that desire to kill this guy go away. And that's the premise of the show. And I'd say these first two episodes, the first one I was kind of like, I don't know about this, because it leaned into like I couldn't take it seriously with Sam showing up with the sunglasses and the hat. And I'm just like, is this where this is going? Because I don't know about this. But in episode 2, that's where we start to learn a lot. It ends on a cliffhanger. We learn a little bit more about Dr. Strauss's backstory and his life and how that was very recently. And then these conversations are fucking heavy. And I've read that like that's essentially the show, is these two having conversations in this one space. And on one hand, I'm like, how are they going to make that interesting for 10 episodes? 10 episodes. And on the other hand, I'm like, they're going to make that real fucking interesting somehow. Like, this thing feels like one of those things that on paper, you look at it and you go, what do we really have here? And then you watch it and you go, wow, they really, kind of like The Bear. Because you look at The Bear and it's just like, oh, it's about, some people trying to make do in a beef sandwich shop in Chicago. Like, why is that so great? And then you watch it and you're like, oh, that's why that's so great. And I feel like this show is going to be similar. There's been a lot of talk about Steve Carell's performance in it. And we've all only seen the first 2 episodes. Well, critics might have seen more, but I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I'm more impressed with Domhnall Gleeson at this point. He's doing scary. He's doing a kind of like a vulnerable kind of thing where it's like, yes, he's scary because he kidnapped you and chained you up and he kills people. But also you can tell that he really does want help and he's trying to open up. And I think they're going to have some really interesting conversations. There's an interesting cliffhanger at the end of the 2nd episode. I love the fact that the episodes are short. We need more 30-minute dramas. You hear me, people? More 30-minute dramas. Especially if you're going to be dropping 2 or 3 episodes on premiere day. I don't want to have to look at like, okay, I got to get 3 episodes, 3 hours of content watched before I can even get a video up to put on my channel. Like, I don't want to do all that. 2 episodes and they're half an hour piece. And I have Hulu, I have ad-free Hulu, slight flex. I think the first one was like 22 minutes, 21 minutes, and the second was like 22 minutes. Please give me that. Like, and that's just enough time for them to give you what you need to be ready for the next episode. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I'm looking forward to it. I believe it's 10 episodes, so there'll be another 8. I look forward to covering those on the channel. I actually look forward to giving some kind of in-depth coverage to something that's not a full hour long, where I'm not going to have to sit here for 25 minutes and like break down a bunch of different important things that happen, which again, I love doing this, so I don't mind it at all. But it's going to be kind of cool to only have to worry about 22 minutes of content and not a lot of locations and only these 2 people. And there might be other characters, but I like the way this is set up so far. So I am going to cover the remaining 8 episodes. I'll probably end up getting them up fairly late Tuesday or early Wednesday because I go into the office on Tuesdays, and then I'm also going to have to contend with when I'm going to get my industry videos up. But there's only 3 more weeks of industry, so that'll be 5 weeks of this show where it won't have industry to compete with. So that'll probably ensure that I get it up on Tuesdays, kind of like I did with Only Murders in the Building if you watch those videos. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. Like I encourage you all to join me in watching this show. Let's check out these 8 episodes. Let's talk about them in the comments after we watch them. Let me know what you thought about these first 2, and I will see you guys next week for episode 3. Peace.